Welcome to the IT Career Energizer podcast. For anyone who wants to build and grow a career in IT, develop and improve your strengths and skills, be inspired and motivated by the successes of others, manage your career progression, and achieve your IT career goals. And now, your host, Phil Burgess.
Before we get into today's interview, I just wanted to give you a quick update about the podcast. As you'll probably have noticed if you're a regular listener, there haven't been episodes for a couple of months, and this was simply due to me taking a bit of a break over the summer. However, you'll be pleased to know that the podcast will be back every Monday as usual over the coming months. In fact, as a bit of a relaunch, there are 3 new episodes for you to download and listen to today. So I hope you'll continue to be a regular listener to the show. And without further ado, here's the first of those 3 episodes. Welcome to episode 306 of the IT Career Energizer podcast. My guest on today's show is the CEO and Chief Project Officer of Project Genetics, where she drives ideas from initiation to implementation, achieving successful outcomes for clients. She has strong skills and a passion for project management, coupled with years of leadership experience across a variety of industries. She is also an international speaker, as well as an active PMP, ACP, CSM and Scaled Agilist. So it's my pleasure to welcome to the podcast, Jana Axline.
Thanks so much for having me.
Jane, I want to start with a question about the various project management acronyms that I mentioned during the bio. So maybe we could just pick up on those. So obviously PMP, ACP, CSM. Could you maybe give us a bit of an understanding of what each of those are?
Sure. Yeah, the PMP is the project management practitioner, and ACP is Agile Certified Practitioner, and both of those are issued from the Project Management Institute, and so that's what is very popular throughout the world. But because I know in the Commonwealth countries, Prince 2 is more popular. But PMI is the kind of counterpart to that. CSM is Certified Scrum Master, and then you mentioned the Scaled Agilist, which kind of goes with that. Scaled Agilist is through Scrum Alliance. So it's just all different types of project management methodologies and practices, because I really love project management.
Right. Okay, fine. Good. I mean, it's probably worth just touching on, before we get into the flow of the interview, about sort of the advent of Agile, if you like, and what it means from a project management perspective. You mentioned, obviously, Prince 2, which, as you say, is very Commonwealth driven. But obviously from PMI, that's obviously a different approach, but they're typically what you would look at as traditional project management approaches, and Agile is very different. So how do you see that, or how does that sort of work in terms of moving traditional project management into an Agile environment?
Ironically, Agile's been around for a long time. I want to say 1970, but don't quote me on that. So, but it was really more common and just among developers and those teams. It didn't seem to gain any popularity in like large scale IT implementations until much later. I feel like, for me, when I was in Denver, Colorado, I didn't really even start hearing about it until around, probably 2014 or 15. I'm sure it was, picking up, but, before then, but, I was very active in PMI by that point, and doing, like you said, traditional project management, where it was like, first you do your requirements, and then you design it, and then you build it, and then you test it, and then you have to go back and fix everything because it wasn't what the business wanted. And so there were certain things that I found that I was implementing in my project management practices that were like Agile. Like, for instance, I would have a daily stand-up. I didn't call it that, but I, just felt like this need to know on a daily basis, where the team was and what was blocking them. And so while I wasn't running it strictly per the, Scrum methodology, it just made sense to me. And so as I started learning about Agile formally, that I really felt like that it just makes sense, right? It's like, well, duh, of course you'd want to be kind of iterating and understanding what the client wants and validating that you got it right, rather than just waiting to the end when you get to test, and finding out that you've fallen victim to, as Agile says, the gulf of evaluation, right? The business describes one thing, but you built something else because you understood it differently. So yeah, I just felt Agile made sense. It was not a hard leap for me. I still think there's value in some of the structure that waterfall offered, and I think that's part of the reason PMI then brought in the ACP, was because they're like, look, there's still value in having a communications plan and a risk management plan and some of these overarching disciplines that help projects avoid significant problems. And so, that's kind of where PMI came in and said, well, we see the value in this as well for IT projects. So let's combine the two and really, make IT project delivery strong.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. I think there's definitely value in some of the traditional things that have been done, if you like, in IT project management delivery. And as you say, they support as much as anything else. They sort of help the back end process, if you like, of project management.
Yeah, because what I find is the companies that are just pure agile, maybe just using Scrum teams or something, and they aren't scaling it. Even though Scrum is really structured and it is really disciplined, I find the implementation of it isn't always the case. And so then when you don't put this governance framework around it, you start having projects that never seem to end.
Yeah, very true. Yes, I mean, you talk about the history of Agile and how long it's been around. Obviously, the Agile Manifesto was a sort of a watershed moment, if you like,
Yes.
in particularly from an IT perspective. And I've spoken to Robert C. Martin and Kent Beck on this podcast in the past about that as well. So if people want to check that out, there are episodes there for people to go back and listen to. Anyway. Let's talk about careers in particular. So, can you maybe tell us, give us a career tip, one that maybe not quite as obvious as others may think?
I found one of the pivotal activities that drove my career forward is actually volunteering. I think volunteering within your discipline can really help you gain experience that you may not gain in the workplace, as well as build relationships with people who need to hire people like you. And so now you've got a foot in the door because you've built a relationship. They've seen how you perform, and it's much easier to then get a job. So I started volunteering with PMI as soon as I discovered project management. And the first thing I did was volunteer for the symposium, in a big conference that they put on every year. And so I did that for a year, maybe 2 years, and then I got on the board. And then finally somebody said, hey, Jana, we have a job opening at Cigna Healthcare, and we'd love for you to apply for it. And the great thing was, is I got this job with actually zero project management experience at the time. I mean, I had my CAPM certification, which is the theory-based one, not the practical one. And I had my volunteering experience, and that was it. Before that, I was in all sorts of other career fields, but not anything project management. And I also had zero IT experience, and I was hired as an IT project manager at Cigna, and it was amazing. I love that job, but I don't think I would have even gotten an interview if I hadn't been volunteering for a couple of years before that came up.
Yeah, is that something you still do? Do you volunteer for other things outside of what you do on a sort of business basis, on a day-to-day basis?
Not as recently, because I've been living between a couple different countries, between
Yeah.
Australia and the US. And at that time, I actually was the president of PMI Mile High chapter in Denver. But I stepped down so that I could be able to travel back and forth. And so since then, it's only been about 2 years. I haven't kind of re-engaged there, but I've always found volunteering. I did a lot within the Project Management Institute and a lot within Toastmasters, and I found that both of those things really helped my career advance.
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously good things from a career or skills development perspective anyway, particularly things like Toastmasters.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Jana, can you share with us your worst IT career moments and what you learned from that experience?
When I was growing up, I did not have a lot of minorities within my that I came in contact with. I grew up in Colorado Springs. It was mostly Caucasian, maybe some Asian sprinkled in, and maybe some Hispanics, but we didn't get a lot of diversity within Colorado Springs, a very small town, very Air Force area. I think we had 6 Air Force bases. So I just wasn't exposed to a lot of diversity. And so then when I started working at Cigna, it was much more diverse culture. And we had, Indian Americans working within Cigna. And so we were going to have a team party, buying pizza for the whole team. And I, had a team of about 20 people. I bought this pizza, and my developers came in and they're like, "Where's the vegetarian pizza?"
Yes.
Well, no, I actually, sorry, let me take that back. I got the vegetarian right, but I didn't get them anything that had meat. So they were like, "Where's the chicken? Where's the, something that had protein on it?" Because all I knew was, oh, they can't, in my head it was they can't have meat. And so I just bought vegetarian stuff, but they could eat chicken. And so I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," And so then fast forward 3 months, I'm doing it again. I'm like buying all these, chicken pizzas and things like that. And then it was like, oh, it's a holy holiday. We can't have any meat.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
just that, not having that background, it was a very pivotal moment for me to just learn that not everybody's like me. And you need to put a little effort in making sure that you're being inclusive of your whole team.
Indeed. Yeah, it's understanding, isn't it, the different cultures and so forth, really. It's just broader, isn't it? That's the key.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So maybe something a little bit more positive. Can you tell us about your career highlight?
Yeah, for me, I've really enjoyed my career in IT project management. And, I think the coolest thing for me was while I was at Cigna, I got promoted 3 times in the 3.5 years that I was there because like project management was just a great fit for me. And so I excelled at it. Like it leveraged a lot of skills that were natural for me. And I even got to be able to be a part of Cigna's Leading for the Future program, which was an amazing program that you had to be, picked to attend. But it was like forecasting where is, health insurance going and what can Cigna do to stay relevant and stay ahead of its competitors. And it was just the most amazing experience to spend so much time learning about yourself and then learning about how you interact with other people, and then learning about the company and the marketplace and how do all those things connect so that you can be a catalyst to drive the market forward or the company forward.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very much. Yeah, absolutely. I'm presuming from what I understand that you do now, you've taken that forward into what you do
Absolutely.
currently.
So, I was sitting listening to David Cordani, the CEO of Cigna. He came to Colorado while I was employed there and spoke at a town hall. And I'm like, man, he's a great CEO. And I'm sitting there in the audience thinking, why is he a great CEO? And I'm like, it's because he's passionate about what he does. And so in that moment, he's passionate about healthcare, right? And in that moment, I'm sitting there going, I am never going to be the CEO of Cigna. I'm not passionate about healthcare. I mean, I like having good health, but I'm not passionate about it. And so I started thinking, well, what am I passionate about? If I'm going to be CEO of anything, what is it that I'm passionate about? And it really was project management. And so I was looking at, I had that thought in my head. And at the same time, I was noticing this gap within seeing we had some contractor PMs within Cigna, and I'm watching these PMs and thinking, these aren't all rock star PMs. And what's missing is they're great at the PM skills, like knowing how to build a, project management plan and how to do resourcing and all of these things. It's great. They know how to check off all those PMBOK boxes, but they're missing the leadership skills. And what I decided was that a lot of these companies spent so much time focusing on, like the resourcing companies and the consulting companies spend so much time focusing on their technical people that like project managers felt like an afterthought to me. So you have great testers, great developers. If you're staffing a project through a resourcing company, you have all these great, technical team members, but then the project managers are kind of like, eh. So I wanted to go start a company that was focused just on project leadership.
Yeah. Okay, we may come back to that later, I think. But can you maybe tell us what excites you about the future of careers in technology?
Well, the reason I love technology is because it is so fast paced. Project management discipline is actually pretty transferable from industry to industry. And there's some industries where you do have to have more of a like SME knowledge, I'll call it. In construction, they really like their project managers to have that construction understanding, just the nature of construction. And I'm sure it's true in maybe, high biotech type fields as well. But really, overall, I can pick up a project in almost any industry. I've done like mining projects. I've done supply chain management projects, right? It's transferable to most industries, that you don't need to have that functional knowledge. But I love IT projects. And the reason I love IT projects is because they are fast paced. Things are going wrong all the time. You're having to like work together as a team to figure out how to get it back on track. And there's just a lot of energy in IT projects. So those are the ones I like to lead: large, complex IT projects.
Yeah, interesting point you make about things always going wrong. From your experience, obviously you've done project management in other industry sectors. Do you think that IT does go wrong more often? IT projects go wrong more often than maybe other projects?
Yeah, it's statistically shown. I mean,
Yeah.
IT projects fail more than any other project, and I think it has to do with a few things. One is that what we were talking about before, this whole gulf of evaluation concept, right? IT is very abstract. When you're building software that doesn't exist or a website, it's really hard to take things out of somebody's brain and get a blueprint of what they want. So that's one challenge. The other challenge is you're required, like, a technical person who's building something is relying on people who may or may not have project maturity, meaning like you go out and you talk to accountants and all these things. Let's say you're implementing an ERP and you're talking to the finance team and the accounting teams and you're trying to understand all their requirements. They don't always understand what's important to tell you. And, so that becomes really hard in that you end up getting to the test phase and you find all these things that were missing. So you've got to really have somebody, companies don't invest, I also think, in the right roles. For instance, we take over a lot of failing projects where they don't have like a BA and plus a system analyst, right? And so it's like those two roles are the bridge between the business users and the IT team. And usually one or the other is left out, or sometimes even both. And I just find like Cigna did that so well. Like Cigna had people in the business who their job was to tell IT what they needed, right? And then they had system analysts who understood how to translate that into system requirements. And, Cigna invested in that. And a lot of companies don't. I know T-Mobile does. But yeah, I find that lacking in a lot of companies who just don't have that software development maturity.
Yeah, that is interesting, and I know from my own experience. I mean, yeah, the best projects tend to have systems analysts and systems architects and
Mm-hmm.
enterprise architects and so forth. But there is often that gap, isn't there, between the BA and the developer?
Yep.
There's
Yep.
nothing in between. Yeah. Okay, good. Right. And we're going to go into the reveal round now. We're going to find out a little bit more about you and the way you think. Are you ready for this?
Sure.
Okay. So, what first attracted you to a career in IT?
Well, it had nothing to do with IT. It was really, I had a passion for project management, and this person who worked at Cigna offered to interview me, and I got the job, and I loved it, and it was a great fit.
Yeah. What is the best career advice you've ever received?
I think having a mentor has really helped my career. And Cigna was great. I had 3 mentors there. And I used them all for different reasons. One was a person who I wanted to be more like, in that uh, I'm not great at, I'm just an executor. I'm like, let's get this done, right? And she was
Yeah.
great at making people feel good. And
Yeah.
so I went to her to learn more about that team, building team camaraderie. Then I had somebody who was high up in Cigna who was in the finance department, and with her it was about being a woman and moving up the corporate ladder. And then I had a guy who was mentoring me, and it was because he was in a department I wanted to be in at the time, and so I wanted to learn everything I could about his department, so that hopefully someday I could work there as well. So I think having a mentor is a really important.
It is. It is. I
Yeah.
like the way you broke it down as well in terms of you had different purposes,
Mm.
and you were trying to develop different skill sets with each of your mentors. That's really interesting to hear. Okay. And what is the worst career advice you've ever received?
I couldn't think of anything, but one of the worst comments I got was, I was way back when I was in my early 20s, and a family member was like harassing me or teasing me or something about always changing jobs. They're like, you have a new job every year. And I did. I mean, I've made TV commercials. I was a barista. I was a registered sales assistant where I sold securities. I was a legal assistant. Um, caught shoplifters. I really did change jobs about every year to year and a half. But the way this person said it was just so negative. And but to me, it was all of those things led to a path for me finding project management, and all of those experiences actually have helped me, right?
Yeah.
So I understand retail, and so that supply chain project, I've worked logistics at Target. I know how, supply chain works. And so it just makes it easier to pick up on the vernacular and all of that and jump into a project and be like, I understand what's going on here. But what I didn't realize, it was because being a consultant was a perfect fit for me, because you get to change environments time after time. So that was also, that pattern taught me something about myself.
Indeed. Well, that's the nature of project management, isn't it? You deliver a project and then it's the next one, isn't it? And it could be a different industry sector, it could be a different client and so forth.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you were to begin your career again in today's world, what would you do?
I would, um, one, intern more. I didn't know anything about internships really when I was growing up. I did end up having an internship at Smith Barney when I was 19, but again, that wasn't a career. I mean, even though I ended up having a job there for a year and a half or something, it wasn't the right career field. But there's a lot of value in the people who do like summer internships every year and could explore more of those things. I'd say that, but I'd also say the other thing that I didn't, so for me, I graduated high school, and I wanted to go away for college, but my parents wouldn't let me go away the first year. So I had to go to a local university. And then after that, I was just too lazy to leave. You've built friendships, you're comfortable with the school, and I didn't leave. And so I never learned about and it was Colorado Springs, again, a smaller town, so it wasn't this big college, right? That you get like CU Boulder is a huge sprawling campus, and is very much like university life. But I was UCCS, which was the Colorado Springs campus, which was more of one of those more like a later in life adult campuses at the time. I lived there the first year they had dormitories. So there just wasn't that, like, people my age. And where I'm headed with this is these large campuses, if you get involved in their societies and things like that, you build a network that can create value for the rest of your life. My husband has an amazing network where, his was from private school and, through high school. But the people, he has friendships with people who are highly successful and can call them up and he's like, oh, I need this type of person. And they, they're like, oh, great, let me connect you. Right. There's just a lot of value in those connections.
Yes. Yeah. And what career objectives are you currently focusing on?
Scaling our company. We've been kind of at the same spot for 3 years. I'm trying to learn, new skills that help me generate leads and then scale our company, so we can just help more, more clients understand that projects don't have to be this hard.
Yeah. And what's the number one non-technical skill that has helped you in your career so far?
Well, I think that, those are the things that really separate you from people who are just technical. And I would have to say it's problem solving ability. And it's multifaceted, meaning not only can I help the teams break down the problem, but I can help them facilitate getting to a solution. So I'm not the one coming up with a solution. I'm helping them get to the solution they need to get to.
Yes, yes. And what do you do to keep your career energized?
I do a lot of, I love to learn. I spend a lot of time watching YouTube videos and reading books, and
Yep.
maybe not as much as I should these days. It feels like the past 2 or 3 years has been a different part of my life. But I do get a lot of energy watching new ideas. Like I was watching a podcast or a thing on YouTube the other day about all this Teams integration that's possible, like project management and Teams. And I was just, it sparked me like, oh my goodness, that's so exciting. How could I use that? What else could I implement to make it more, one-stop shop for project management? So I really like doing those things.
Good. Okay. And what do you do in your spare time away from technology?
Well, I'm kind of annoying where I just like business. So I feel like I spend all my time doing business things, other than when, in the time that we started living in Australia, we did get a boat. So drinking on the boat, it would be my other activity. But, my life is pretty consumed by business because I just enjoy it.
Right. Okay. And can you maybe share us a last or final piece of career advice?
Yeah, I think it's important to really understand who you are, understand what you're good at, understand what the opportunities that you have, and put those together into what does that mean for me. I fully believe in having a vision of where you want to go, and the vision can change. But the point is it gives you a future reference point to analyze where you are and make plans of how you can get to where you want to go. So I think that understanding where you are and understanding where you want to get to is really important for anyone who wants to move forward in their career.
Absolutely. Yeah, very, very true. Good advice, definitely. Okay. Jana, how can we find out more about you and connect with you?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, of course. I'm the only Jana Axline. Well, I guess there's two because they're both me. But that's a long story for another day. So yes, LinkedIn's a great place, or you can go to our website projectgenetics.com, and we're also on YouTube with some helpful project management and leadership tips under Project Genetics as well.
Jana, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. It's been really good fun chatting with you.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, Phil here again. Well, I hope you enjoyed my conversation with today's guest. You can find full show notes on the website at itcareerenergizer.com/e and the number of the episode you've been listening to. If you haven't already subscribed to the show, please make sure that you do so that you get episodes automatically downloaded to your device every Monday. Thanks for listening and have a great week.
Thanks for listening to the IT Career Energizer podcast. To find out more about building a successful career in IT, visit itcareerenergizer.com.